are at Exponential Day 2 with Josh Ogden, co-founder and CEO of AVSS, one of the leading parachute providers in the world for UAS, but also based in North America. You guys are in Canada, right?
Yeah, we operate out of Ottawa, New Brunswick, and then we have a presence in upstate New York.
Okay, sweet. So can we talk about this latest announcement about the means of compliance?
Yeah, for sure.
Okay. So what does this mean for the rest of the industry, right? So we're basically now able to operate over groups of people without waivers if we have a parachute, correct?
Yeah, death to waivers. Now, there's some nuance there. If this was a spammy clickbait, death to waivers with some nuance.
Okay. I'll title the video "Death to Waivers."
Yeah. So basically, historically, you want to fly over people. With your drones, you can go through that type cert, category 4, spend a bunch of money, or go through 44807, that complex process. But with the category 2 and 3, the idea is the injury severity is so low that the FAA will take on a higher likelihood of a drone failing. But with that, you can't hurt anybody. So category 2 means 11 foot-pound, about less than 15 joules of energy.
What size drones is that kind of?
So it depends on what it's made out of. So that's actually really good. So if you bring me a drone fully made out of metal, it's going to have a higher impact energy. Completely out of foam, it's going to have less. So with category 2, you have 11 foot-pound of transfer of energy. You have, or 14.9 joules of energy. Or for category 3, you're allowed a little bit more, but there's some flight operation restrictions. You're allowed to have 25 foot-pounds of transfer of energy, which is about 33.9 joules of energy. With those operations, you can't necessarily hover over an open air assembly of people. You can do transient flight, you can hover over restricted access, but there's some little bit nuance there. So if you're a construction site, category 2 or 3 is going to work. GFR, same thing, but there's just a little
What about
bit
drone
nuance.
delivery?
Drone delivery is not going to really be a category 2 or 3 drone. You might be if you're around a 10-15 kg right on the edge, but really you're going to have some wind limitations. So that's where 44807 is probably a more attractive option for the US market. Now in Canada, flight over people, 0 to 25 kg, be below an AIS level 3 injury, so an abbreviated injury scale. Basically 128 foot-pounds is what the FAA says. So there's some nuance there, but really...
So in Canada, you guys are going by FAA guidelines?
No, it's an example of how to understand what a severe injury on AIS level 3.
Okay.
Our rules in Canada are actually way more liberal and allow us to fly over people, kinetic energy. We don't have to do it in this additional
Even if you have even though you guys have a 250 gram weight limit?
We can go up to 25 kg over people without having to do that extra step with the FAA.
Wow.
But the FAA is really, from a safety standpoint, it is a less injury-prone drone.
Okay. So currently, can I ask? You see over here. I'll turn the camera around. This MOC that you guys got here.
Yep.
So these are the platforms it currently supports, right?
Yeah, so these are some different drones. So you're gonna have the Skydio X10 with the parachute. You're gonna have
that thing flies so great, man. I razz it, but it's such a quality product for being made in the West. The build quality, the whole thing. I got to give them props.
You grab the battery on the X10 and you see it slide in and out. It's amazing.
Same thing with the X2. 100%.
The details in the piece, you don't see it as much in the American drones, and they're really come a long way, and it's really impressive.
It's like a power tool. This thing's very well. So sorry, not to digress.
Yeah.
Props
and
to
then
Skydio.
you got M300. You got the M3D.
The new one for the Dock 2.
Yeah.
So out of the box, Dock 2 has this MOC.
Yeah, this will. So the MOC means we're allowed to test. The next step is a DOC, which is a declaration compliance. What you're going to see over the next 120 days, we're talking in April, so throughout the next few months, you'll see the different drones coming that have these declarations that enable flight over people.
Okay, so what is the next step, say for an OEM, right? So say or an operator, right? I have this M3D, I buy a Dock 2. How do I get that DOC?
So that DOC will be public online. It's similar to the remote ID modules. You go to the FAA MOC website and it's going to be on there, and you pick the system and go. There's no waivers, there's no paperwork. You just need to make sure you have the right drone with registration. You have an FAA inspector show up, you show your DOC, you're good to go. And we do all the work. And so for an OEM, it's a little bit different. So for an operator and end user, they're gonna just go buy and go. And this is actually the system in Canada. We actually just have a compliant list. You go check it and you're fine. So for the US, what you're gonna have is similar. But for the OEM, they're gonna have to go through a process. What we do is we do some crash test dummy testing right off the bat to make sure the transfer of energy. The next step is what we're gonna be doing is we go then and deploy the parachute 45 times. We get those descent rate, the angles. We get that performance metrics, and then we do our formal crash test dummy testing that shows that transfer of energy and the injuries that are created. And then when you're below the thresholds of the rigid object, you're then able to qualify for Category 2 or Category 3.
Okay, so walk me through. So obviously these are 3 OEMs that have already been selected, but obviously other OEMs can connect, reach out, and get their platforms as part of this as well.
Oh yeah, right now we've got about 8 integrations going on with different drones, American, European, that are really integrating this to get that ops over people, because, you know, in Canada, 15% of M300s have parachutes. You know, DFR is going to have it, engineering services, drone delivery services. So really, when you're looking at this, this is enabling technology for your clients. Like, the parachute's not there to save your drone. It's nice to have, it might happen, but you're doing it for the regulatory compliance, because you don't want to hurt a fellow citizen. It's about making sure bystanders are unaffected by a potential failure, and without having to go through that type cert, 10,000 hours demonstration. It allows drone manufacturers to get faster to market and serve their customers.
So you got 8 integrations. What's the timeline? How long does it usually take?
So we can go, usually integrations can be as fast as 90 days if everything's set up ready to go. Like when we get a drone, like a DJI drone, it's already ready. We just go to town. But if we're working with an OEM, we actually really like them coming when they're like 10-15% in their drone. We can allocate basically real estate on their drone on where to integrate, and then they go do their work, and then when the drone's at like 90%, they come back and we do all the finished testing.
Not to interrupt you, but what about everybody else already has like a finished product that wants to go ahead and get that?
Yeah, finished product is great. Come and do it. It depends really on your availability. Do you have the necessary drones? So the first set of testing, you're going to need a physical drone intact. It doesn't need the electronics working. It doesn't need to have like the battery per se. Everything needs to be mass equal, so you can't come with like a broken drone, so that, because we're going to crash them, and we need to understand how the transfer, and if the drone has like cracks in it, you're not going to get the proper transfer, so it's misleading. So we need that. And then for ASTM F3322, we typically ask for 6 drones. 1 is going to be probably toast by the end of it. 2 we hope aren't touched, but they're there for backup, because, you know, sometimes you have a bad day with parachute testing and it lands on the ground, the parachute gets dragged, or lands on its side, things happen. And then 3 drones by the end of it are really just R&D drone. So that's usually how it goes for that. And then the final step is that crash test dummy testing. Again, we need brand new physically intact drones, but you don't need to put your expensive camera, you don't need to have all your sensors, your PCBs, but we need the mass to be equal.
Dope. Okay, so super helpful. If an OEM's watching this, they're interested in like getting involved, they reach out to you?
Yeah, go on avss.co. We have a specific portal for custom integrations. Reach out. You know, we do have a lead time right now. We've got those integrations going on, servicing those customers.
Can I ask what lead time is? Or
yeah, so right now we're now taking on customers who are starting in July. So if someone will reach out today, they're going to see later on this summer.
Dope.
And then depending on what they do, like we will do complete custom if you need it. Obviously there's a higher NRE there, but if you're looking at an existing product that you're like, okay, I just want that same parachute because it's 1.6 kg, I want to use the same thing as the M3D, great. Then we really just need to do a bracket. We need to tune up the auto trigger to your flight parameters. Cool. And that's something that is unique with AVSS.
And you can do this with like Cube, any autopilot.
Yeah, we've done PX4, RG Pilot, proprietary. We're fine. We can connect through Mavlink. We can connect through different ways. It's to send those shutdown commands.
Okay, awesome. So any questions that I think those are all the questions OEMs would have. Thanks again for your time, man. I really appreciate you, and you've been super helpful. But as somebody, admittedly, I'll tell you this, I've used their product in the past. I've seen multiple different parachute companies attempt to provide the same type of solution. I've known these guys since when I was at Autel. I don't think anybody comes as close. So we don't have a formal business relationship, but I just want to kind of share folks some of the best products in the market so we can help get to market faster, help grow this industry as a whole. Josh, man, thanks. I really appreciate your time, bro.
Cheers.